Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time on my channel, you are very welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your loyalty and your love. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys a little story, the first story time on my channel. If you're watching this, just make yourself very comfortable, grab your tea. I have mine right here. Just grab your tea, grab your popcorn, because it is about to get hot. Okay, let's begin. So I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for this, but it's too late to turn back now. I'm going to be telling you guys a little throwback story about my experience in high school with this teacher. So in high school, it was my SS1. My Nigerians know this, SS1. If you're not Nigerian, then I think to you it's like 9th grade. I was already in high school and I was, give or take, 14 years old. I was either 13 or 14. Some of you might be like, that's too young. Nigerians start school really early. It's like you just give birth to us and like boom, kindergarten, boom, primary school, boom, secondary school. It was the second semester or second term of my SS1 and a new physics teacher came to my school. Obviously, for the sake of this video, to protect everyone's privacy, not like I really care about this guy, but anyone I mention in this video is going to have their names changed just for, you know, formalities. Let's call this guy Mr. Paul. No offense to anyone whose name is Paul, I'm sorry, but it was just the first name that popped into my head. So it was the second semester or second term of my SS1. A new teacher, Mr. Paul, came to my school. So it was time for my physics class. This was the first encounter, the first time I met Mr. Paul. Me and my classmates were all sitting down, you know, normal classroom setting. Mr. Paul walks in and everyone is like, who is this guy? You haven't seen him before. Is he going to teach us and all of that? So he introduced himself. Hi, Mr. Paul, blah 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 blah. I'm going to be your new physics teacher. Okay, didn't really think anything of it. The first class was like a very normal class, you know, there was really nothing different, just besides the fact that he was a new teacher. And just a very important fact about this story, I always hated physics. Physics was my worst subject. I did not like physics whatsoever. I still do not like physics. I wouldn't say like I was failing, but my grades were just very average, below average. It was just something that I just did not enjoy learning. Mr. Paul kept on teaching us. Everything was normal for like a couple of weeks. Then I noticed that Mr. Paul started to take a particular interest in me. So I thought, you know, this sudden interest in Kelechi was because he noticed that I was struggling, and, you know, him being the new teacher, he's trying to gain my favor, gain my trust, that kind of thing. So I assumed that that was the case. It all started like with really small, you know, statements. From that, it came to maybe he's trying to solve a physics question. He's using my name as the example. Because I hated physics, I was just like, oh god, like I don't need this kind of attention. Like this man should just leave me alone, because I just like to be invisible, especially when it came to physics class. Don't use my name, don't drag any attention to me, don't ask me physics questions because I'm not going to know the answer to them. Everyone just assumed, oh, I was the teacher's pet, which is a very common, normal thing. This was when things like really started to build up. He kind of made me class captain when it came to physics. I realized that I have an audience that's not made up of just Nigerians, so I'm going to try and explain this as much as I can. So he kind of made me the head of physics, in the sense that if he needed our notebooks, he would send me to bring the notebooks to him. If he needed to pass on any message to the rest of the class, he would do it through me. So when a teacher appoints you or gives you that kind of role, it automatically means that you're going to be spending more time with the teacher compared to the rest of your classmates. Because he's a new teacher and all of that, I was like, okay, maybe the problem was not from me. Maybe the problem was the other physics teachers that were in my school did not know how to teach physics. So because this guy took a particular interest in me, I also kind of reciprocated it, in the sense that I started paying attention in his class. I was like, okay, maybe this is the teacher that might finally make me to start liking physics. It was a boarding school. We go to the hostel, we go to class, we go to the hostel, we go to class, back and forth like that. So one day I was in the class block, and then he saw me and he was like that he wants to start having physics lessons with me. That was what he said. I was like, I noticed I struggle in physics. I noticed I don't enjoy the subject. So I want to make it my duty to teach you physics. That I should come during my break or whenever I have a free period. That I should come to the physics lab and literally start from scratch and make me really understand physics. So the way he was just trying to sell this idea to me, he was being very convincing, and I was like, okay, yeah, Kelechi, yeah, you can do this. You know, you're going to start passing your physics and all of that. You know, we started having the lessons. I would always go. Besides him being my teacher, we also started to build somewhat of a friendship. I don't want to call it a friendship because it's kind of too far. You know how like you're scared of your teacher, you want to be careful so they don't punish you. You want to be careful not to say the wrong thing so you don't get into trouble, stuff like that. I did not feel that way towards him. I just used to be myself. I just used to be free. I could say whatever I wanted to say. I was actually understanding the physics that he was teaching me. I saw progress in my day-to-day physics activities, my assignments. There was progress, which made me to keep going willingly for these physics lessons. Then everything took a toll. And let me describe my school to you in terms of where the physics lab is. My school, because it was a boarding school, we had the hostel and the, you know, school, the class block area. And the class block had like 3 or 4 different buildings. There was the main building, you know, where most of the classes were, most of the staff rooms, the principal's office, and there were like different blocks that were mainly used for labs, you know, the chemistry lab, biology lab, physics lab. So the physics lab was its own separate building, and it was just the physics lab and 2 classrooms. That was the only thing that was on that first floor, and then that was it. And then the ground floor was our school auditorium. Anything can happen to you at that point, and you know, no one would know. One day I go to the physics lab for my normal lessons, and Mr. Paul says,
"Oh, Kelechi, you look very beautiful today."
And I was like, well, this is new. And he just kept on repeating it, you know, you look very beautiful, you look very beautiful. I felt like madly uncomfortable, but you know, me trying to be respectful, I was like, oh, thank you, sir. And then he now stops, you know, looking at me head to toe. You know, you look nice, your uniform is well ironed, you look very neat. We went on to have our physics lesson, and then, you know, nothing happened. And then after that day, the compliments slowly started increasing. You know, you look very beautiful, to I like your skirts, to I like the way your uniform looks on you, to I like how you brushed your hair, or you braided a new hair, it looks very nice on you. Then it got to the extent that this guy started telling me,
"Oh, Kelechi, I dreamt about you last night."
and I'm like, oh, okay, hold up, hold up, hold up. I would make a face. I was like, sir, that's not very appropriate. You can't be telling me that. I was only 13. I was a minor. This guy was like late 40s. I'm going to give this guy 49. He's even lucky that I'm not even giving him 50. You're 49. You cannot be telling a 13-year-old that you dreamt about her last night. And then I would just push it off, and I'm like, let's focus on the lesson, let's focus on the lesson. Because I was really learning, and I wasn't ready to give that up, because I was starting to develop an interest that I never had before. But now I started to become very alert, and I was like, okay, Kelechi, there's something more going on here, and you need to be like quick. You need to be quick. So now the story is about to twist. I'm just gonna take a little sip of my tea. Oh, I need to stretch, because so if you've been watching till this part, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you've enjoyed the story so far, give it a thumbs up before we get to the main part. This whole part before was just the introduction. Subscribe to my channel right now. Have you done it? Okay, let's move on. Now the story is about to get juicy. It was time for my physics lesson. Again, it was that time of the week. I was having it like twice a week, and for some reason, it's just now that this thing is actually clicking. He would always call me when he was the only one in the physics lab. Do you guys now understand? He would always, like, majority, not all the time, but majority of the classes we had, it was just me and him in that physics lab. Does that sound fishy to you? sounds fishy to me. And usually the normal position was we would sit across the table from each other. So he would be on this end, it would be the table, and I would be on the other side. But that particular day, there was something different about him, and he was like,
Kelechi, I've not been seeing an improvement in your grades. It's like these lessons have been for nothing.
and then I was like, huh? What does he mean by he has not been? I've been seeing an improvement in my grades. And I said, you're supposed to be doing better. You're supposed to be one of the top physics students in your class. I was like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. You don't pay attention. In fact, come closer. That was what he said. So far away. That's why you don't pay attention. You're so distracted. Come closer, drag your chair. And then I was starting to get scared. You know, he's my teacher. Is he going to punish me? I started thinking like that because in Nigeria we get punished, we get flogged with like long huge canes. So I tried to avoid that as much as possible because obviously I did not enjoy getting punished. I hardly ever got punished, to be very honest. And then I took my chair and I brought it closer to him. I was like, sir, I'm paying attention. He was like, okay, now look at what I'm saying. Look at this question that I'm telling you about. Because he was telling me focus. My head was literally buried in the book. I didn't even realize when this guy's hand was already on my skirt. His hand was there for God knows how long because I did not notice. Everything happened so quick. This, what I'm describing now, is something that happened in the span of like 10 seconds. I noticed his hands move up. I was like, what's on my skirt? When I realized what was going on, I turned to face him and I was like, what are you doing? And then immediately I turned, he brings his face very close to me, at the same time trying to drag my skirt up, and then I jumped. I literally fell off from my chair. I fell to the ground and then I immediately stood up. He just kept saying, I'm going to punish you. Where are you going? Come back. I had my physics notes and my pencil case and some other things I was using for the lesson, my calculator. I grabbed all my things and I ran. I don't know how to run, no, but that day I ran for my dear life. They're the only two people there. No one knew about anything that had happened. When I was getting to my class, I stopped to try to catch my breath so that no one would suspect anything because I was too embarrassed. I was so ashamed. No one noticed anything. I just went to my chair. I just sat down. The class was very noisy. There was no teacher in the class at that time, so everyone was doing their own thing. No one noticed when I had entered the class and bent my head. I just cried and cried, just crying my eyes out. Let me tell you, I have a talent. I have a very special talent of hiding pain. I can be going through the absolute worst, and if I don't tell you, you won't know. So I kept on gisting, smiling, acting like, you know, everything was fine. After that day, I told myself that that would be the last time that I would go there for physics lessons, that it now had to be for a subject that I hated. I think after that day I hated physics 10 times, a million times more. This was me trying to put effort in a subject that I hated so much, and this was what I got. I was still having physics classes with this guy, mind you, and he would always enter the class, give me faces that would make me feel so uncomfortable. Like the way this guy would look at me, I would feel like throwing up. Anytime I had class with him, I would just always bury myself. I wouldn't even dare to speak or utter a word. A few weeks passed and it was time for our tests. So this was the midterm exams, and the physics day came. I wrote the physics. The midterm exams ended. We got our physics scores back. It's time for another bomb to drop. So sip your tea. Cheers. Cheers. This was strike number 2. The guy who was distributing the script to the whole class got to my script and he was like, oh my god, Kelechi, you scored the highest. And I was like, He was like, you scored the highest. You scored a 90. Me, Kelechi Trinitas, also did not be 90 in physics. It has never happened. It has never happened. I knew immediately that something was not adding up. But remember, we are still trying to pretend and act like everything was fine. So I smiled and I was like, oh really, let me see. And then I took the script. Lo and behold, that was not my script. I mean, it had my name on it, but that was not my handwriting. Oh my god, those were not the answers that I wrote down. This idiot of a man, Mr. Paul, had rewritten my entire physics exam and marked it himself. Intentionally failed some questions because obviously you cannot score 100 in physics, you must get at least one wrong. Added it himself and put 90. This is what this man sat down and did to my script. It was not even my script, it was his script with my name on it. And everyone was like so surprised. Not like surprised in a suspicious way. They were surprised like, Kelly, look at you, smart girl. And I was just smiling. I was like, And they were like, look at your script, so neat, you didn't even cancel anything. That was the first suspicious thing. My script was so arranged, like I just knew what I was doing. Physics, maths, you must see cancellations, like you must make mistakes. There was no mistake on my script. It was so neatly written. Everyone was like, you even drew all the diagrams, you even wrote down all the formulas, like wow. Then I took the script and I folded it and I kept it with me. When it was break time, I stomped to the physics lab. Mr. Paul sees me approaching. He was just like, what is it? I was like, sir, you know what you did. I had the script in my pocket. I was like, sir, you know this is not my script. Why would you do something like this? Are you trying to get me expelled? It was hurting me so much for different reasons, because if anyone had found out about this, I'd have gotten expelled immediately. My school, like, they don't even used to, like, they don't think to, like, you're gone, you're out. Secondly, I was very angry because I genuinely wanted to see my progress. It was the first exam I was going to write with the physics lessons, so it was really going to be a test to see how much I had grown or improved in physics. It was not like I was just trying to help you, and I said, that's not how you help me. I don't need that kind of help. Are you trying to get me in trouble? And I said that okay, that I should give him the script, that when open day comes and your parents are here, you will see your original score. But now I don't have your script. That was what he told me. That wasn't what I wanted. I wanted my original answer sheet back, but I just had to manage that one. At least he assured me that he was going to change it, right? As time now went by, I started hearing news that Mr. Paul also had another teacher's pet. Let's call her Kate. So I'm like, I need to speak to this girl somehow. I need to find out if he did the same thing to her that he did to me. And luckily, Kate was already my friend. We had a good relationship. I tried to initiate a conversation with her, and then I now brought up physics. And then even before I could ask her about Mr. Paul, she already told me by herself. She was like, that, do you know that Mr. Paul tried something with me? Then she was not like, shh, don't tell anybody, that, you know, since you already started talking about physics, I just said, let me tell you. Then she said that Mr. Paul also tried to kiss her. And I said, oh my god, he tried the same thing with me too. And she was like, are you serious? He did it to you? And I said, yes, that if I didn't move in the span of like 2 seconds, he would have actually like gotten his way. She was like, Kelly, we have to tell someone about this. We have to take it up to the authorities. At this point, I got very scared, and then I was like, are you sure you want to do that? Not because I don't want to get this guy fired or anything, but because of what he had done with my script. I was scared that if we decided to take him down, that he was going to take me down with him. I saw that whole him like giving me 90 as, you know, blackmail that was hanging over my head. I was really hesitating, and she was wondering why I was hesitating, but no one could know about that physics script. This is literally a secret that I took with me till I graduated, and I'm saying it for the first time to you guys. So I listened to her and I was like, okay, let's do something about it. We head over to the vice principal's office and we're like, sir, we have something to report. Then he was like, what is it? And then we just said that there's a teacher that has been verbally and physically abusing us. And then the shock on his face, guys, I don't want to say this man's name. If you're in my school and you remember our former vice principal, light-skinned, very strict, very wicked man, remember how that guy would never show any, his face was always, he would never show any form of expressions or emotions. For the first time in my life, I saw the expression of shock on his face. And then he brought out like 2 pieces of paper, gave us pens, and he said that we should write a statement. Usually say everything like, this is what he did to me, this day in the physics lab, he tried to lift up my skirt, blah 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 blah. I said it all there so that they would understand the gravity and they would take serious action. So we give the statements back to him, and he's like, okay, you can go back to your class, we'll take further action or something like that, he said. So we went back, no one got back to us, no one said anything, and we were scared. Me most especially, I was terrified, I was shook. I started having nightmares about this guy hurting me, doing something to me. I was in a boarding school. I couldn't go back home to my parents, or this guy would try to lie and say that I told him to write my physics exam for me, or just tell a lie, and it would be his word against mine, a teacher's word against a student. So you know, there were so many ways that this whole thing could have gone wrong. Then all of a sudden, Kate comes to tell me, oh my god, Kile, I saw Mr. Paul in the principal's office, and he was surrounded by like the disciplinary committee. In my school, we had a disciplinary committee that was made up of like the principal, the vice principal, and the HODs, like the head of departments. That they're finally doing it, they're finally doing it. He was looking very scared, and you know, from the vibe in the room, you could tell that something serious was going on. I heard that and I was like, so I was hoping that he would get what he deserved, which was being fired or even arrested. Like, you can never know. But I was like, let them just not maybe cut his salary or do something small that would make me still see this guy every single day. And we were just waiting, guys, just like that. A week went by, 2 weeks went by. I stopped seeing Mr. Paul, and that was my confirmation. The principal calls me to his office and he's like,
Kelechi, sit down.
Obviously, the first thing I thought of was he knows about my physics scripts. I started to sweat, guys. The sweat was dripping down my face. Then he was like, Kelechi, I want to plead with you to please not tell your parents about your experience with Mr. Paul. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. He's speaking on behalf of the school and all of that, that please, my parents don't have to know about this, that they've taken all the necessary action, that Mr. Paul has been fired. He was fired that day. What he meant by don't tell your parents, he meant don't tell your father. No. My father would have turned that school upside down. He would have sued the school. Now I'm thinking, my school had a nursery school, primary school, 2 secondary schools. Imagine suing my school, how much money we would get. I was just very young, I did not know better. I would have said it, and I agreed, and I was like, okay, fine, that as long as he has been fired, that was all I wanted, everything is fine. And that was the last I ever heard of Mr. Paul. But there's still one more thing. Remember the exam score that he said that he was going to change? This guy never changed that score. Did I deserve it? I definitely did not. Did I ask for it? I did not. You guys might be like, this happened so many years ago, why are you just talking about it now? Last week, I'm on my phone, yeah? I'm on my phone. I'm just scrolling through my phone. I open Facebook, scrolling down my friend requests list, and I see Mr. Paul's friend requests. Oh my god, I got very terrified. Immediately blocked. I don't know how long that friend request had been there, but I don't even know how he found me after all these years. Found my Facebook is scary. Like, Facebook scares the shit out of me. That's the end of my story time. Just a quick disclaimer before I end this video. If you went to my secondary school, please do not mention the name of my secondary school. Please, let's just respect everyone's privacy. If you mention my secondary school, if I see the name, your comment is going to be deleted. So guys, that is the end. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, share with your friends, join my family. We have a lot of fun on this channel. I'm so sure this video is going to be so long, but if you watch to the end, thank you so much. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.